All right, so that's just basically a standard call to find by template. So I gave you the find by template code, right?
Yeah.
This is just a standard call to find by template.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, so yep, so it's all there. So I wrote this function called data cache compute key, and it's going to take the table name, a template, in this case T, and I'm not going to pass in any fields. And I'm just going to go, we'll just go print R, and we'll go run it. Fields is equal to none. Try it again. All right, so if you take a look at this in code, we'll go back in and put fields in so it's clear. H, comma, B, comma, clear ID. Right, and then we'll basically do the same thing down here. So right, so if you think about it, this is a string.
Mm-hmm.
It's a character string. If I just debug this, it's just a character string. All right, so you can see it's a string. It's got the resource name.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the query,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's got the fields list, right?
Yeah.
And that's a perfectly valid string. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to go and say, the batting record is going to be retrieve by template T comma fields. So that's going to be the fields that I'm going to pass in. This is a perfectly valid query, right? All right, and so we'll just go print this out.
Oh, there's an extra equal.
All right, so that's the key. So what I would do at this point is, let's say D is equal to data cache dot, I don't know why it's not doing the type ahead. Get from cache, and I'm going to give it the key here. So let's just stop screwing around with names. We'll call this key. Right. All right, so let's run it again. All right, so the cache check did not find that key. So now if I go back down here and go, and it's going to be resource equal to batting, well, batting template is equal to T field is equal to this. All right. And then I try it again. Oh, got to have the query result. Yes. Result is equal to BR. And then, all right, so you can see I wrote a function that if you give me the stuff that makes up a find by template call, a query call, so what's the resource, what's the where clause, what are the fields, it'll convert it into a string.
Yep.
That's completely, that contains all the information. So that completely defines a find by template call. Right, and so I print it out. So basically, if I have one of those keys, I can check the cache. It's not there. First time I call it,
Okay.
right?
So you need to store a
Right.
result.
Right.
that-
So then basically I do the retrieve by template, print it out. Okay, I did find it. Now I'm going to store it in the cache. Right.
Okay.
So I go add it to the cache, and then I say go check it again. Now what I'm actually just going to do is all this thing's really going to do is basically the logic here is DEF homework 4 it is. We're just going to go we'll basically go resource template fields. And we'll go K is equal to data cache compute key of resource is equal to resource, template is equal to template, fields is equal to fields. Oops. Right. So result is equal to X K if K is not none, print cache it, return, oh, not key, if result is not none, return result. LSC. Return template, and it's going to be resource table is equal to resource. T is equal to template. Field is equal to field. And then it's just going to be resource is going to be resource. Template T, and the fields is going to be fields. And the query results, and then return Result. Go cast miss. I'll just go comment all this stuff out. Then we'll go give this a try. So go homework 4 is cool of adding, comma, B, comma, only that. And we'll go fields. Right. And we'll go try running that. And you got to cache it because it's in the cache. So we'll just go R is equal to, but we'll go change the template. So we'll go call it the year 1961. And we'll go print result is equal to JSON.dumps of R. And we'll just do it a second time. And we'll go see what happens. And I can't type. All right, so got a cache hit, customary to actually do this properly. And result is equal data cache get cache hit. What did I do wrong here? Okay, if result not equal, stop. Result not equal. Let's try it again. Result is, oh, I use a different method here. I wrote a different method. Yeah, check query cache. It's basically I was just showing you the key thing for the heck of it.
So get query cache is doing similarly like get cache.
Yeah, so if I go back to, yeah, so it's going to be, I don't need to compute the key. I do that inside check query cache. And the resource is equal to resource, template is equal to temp. And the field is equal to let me try this again. All right, so got a cache miss. I need to do that. Okay, so the first time I do it, the result's going to be empty. Compute the key, add it to the cache, return the result. All right, so that did that. Go back down here again. Oh, yeah, that cache is not going to work because Ted Williams didn't play baseball in 1961. Everyone on this call will deny under oath that I made that mistake. All right. So let's go see what's going on here. So the result is none. So go back here. None. Try it again. All right, so you can see the first time I get a miss, right? So I get a cache miss, I read it, and then I add it to the cache. The second time I come through, I get a cache hit. So literally, you just have to write those two functions. They all built around compute key. So compute a key. So if you can compute a key from these things, when you're in find by template, check the cache, and if it's there, you just return it. Otherwise, you retrieve the data and put it in a cache and then return it.
Okay.
So the first time you get a cache miss, the second time you get a cache hit. And so that is what you need to do.
Okay. I
now
understand now.
Yeah, so now the question is, what the heck did I do with that? Yeah, so basically, so this basically is a test program. So I have two templates here. This template is just last name Williams. This template's last name and first name. These are the fields I'm going to look for. And I'm going to run a comparison test. So all test. Now I added a flag to my find by template, which will turn caching on or off. So if it's set to true, I'll use the cache. If it's not, if it's set to false, I bypass the cache. So all this really does is it says, go find this template and tell the find by template whether or not to use the cache. So what's going to happen is here, this is just a run a comparison test, and I'm going to run it with the two templates. Okay, so you can see without the cache, so, right, this is the first one. So we'll go back up here. There's a lot of them here, so we're not going to go. But basically, if you go down here, right, the elapsed time was 0.35 seconds if you use the cache. If you don't use the cache, this is really exciting. You see it takes 2.7 seconds. So in essence, if you go take a look at the ratio, using the cache speeds up the lookup by a factor of 8. So if you think about an environment with a web application, queries recur. So people are going to ask the same questions over and over again. So what's happening here is the first time anybody asks the question, you compute the answer and stuff it in the cache. But if anybody else asks the question 3 hours later, you don't go to the database. You just get it out of the cache, and you can see it's like 8 times faster. You can see this one's 6 times faster. Mm-hmm. So what's happening is, and this is a common pattern in web apps and apps in general. So in essence, what's happening is you've got user requests coming in. They're being kind of load balanced, spread around, but you've got lots of applications back here that are returning data. Just in front of those applications, when the request comes in, before you go and call the API, you go and check the cache to see whether you already have the answer. And if you do, you return it, and you don't trigger any of this back-end stuff.
Okay.
So that's all that's happening here is you can see that in my case, I've got the check embedded inside find by cache, retrieve by template. All you've really got to do is just replicate that logic, just put it inside retrieve by template. So go figure out, based on this request, what is the key that uniquely defines this request, see if it's in the cache. And if it's not, load it from the database and put it in the cache. And so that'll speed things up by like a factor of 10. So, and these are simple queries. You can imagine what this would be like if these were joins or something like that, or going through a view. So anyway, that's all you really need to do for the Redis thing is figure out how to compute a key from a request, figure out, given a resource, a template, and a list of fields, how to compute the key, and then you just check the cache and find retrieve by template. If it's there, you return it. Otherwise, you run the query, get the data, and stuff it in there. And the second time you get a cache hit, that's literally all you need to do.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. All right, let's go back. All right, so I'm trying to figure out how to go and figure out who raised their hands, in which order. Now it doesn't want to show me who raised their hands. Damn it. All right, so that was thing. Why does it not want to show me who raised their hands? All right, I'm not quite sure why it's decided to stop showing who raised their hands. Why does it not want to let me show who raised their hands? Huh. I don't know why it's decided to not let me see who's raised their hands. So somebody raise your hand and we'll see what happens. Raise your hand again and we'll see what happens.
Professor, I tried to raise hand again. Did you see that?
Yeah, it's not showing me who raised their hands for some reason. That's weird. It's showing them. Oh, so I see now. All right. So everybody raise your hand if you want to talk. Kathleen. So Kathleen raised her hand. Okay, Kathleen unraised her hand. All right, somebody else raised their hand. This is unbelievably exciting. Okay, so I'm going to declare hand raising an epic failure. Anybody else have any questions? You can sit here and stare at me if you want. So there are no more questions? Should I do magic tricks or? Okay.
I just came here to learn from the wisdom and learn from the questions that others ask.
All right. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, this is like incredibly awkward.
Maybe they muted and they can't hear or something.
All right.
Could you please go over from the fan comment template the create comment?
Create comment.
Oh, sorry, comment. Yes, create comment.
Sure. Okay, so stuff we don't need. All right, so this is the unit test. Right. So this is going to be George Washington, and we go pick another player. Let's go find Kevin Youkilis. So we'll go back here to my code. And so I'm going to make a comment about Kevin Youkilis. And that comment is going to be treason is punishable by death. Right. So I get a team, Boston. George Washington's going to make the comment, so I just get a fan by their ID. The player is Kevin Youkilis. The comment is treason is punishable by death. And then the great comment thing is, this fan made this comment about this team and this player. That's all it does. So we just go create test comment. I'm gonna try running this. Oh crap. That's not good. I just reloaded all my data again. All right, so just go try it now. All right, so it doesn't print anything, because you can see I don't print anything out, but it goes makes a comment. So if I go back here, and I click on match. So just share the comments. You can see that there's now a comment about Kevin Youkilis. So this comment, treason is punishable by death, applies to Kevin Youkilis. Right, so it's a comment on Kevin Youkilis, and it's a comment on Boston Red Sox. I don't know why I didn't do the fan, so for some reason it didn't include the fan. So I'm just going to basically go match, go do the fan, so just basically go match P is equal to F colon fan, any R is going to be comment on, and comment by. All right, so for some reason it didn't actually make the comment, so I did something wrong. Oh, no, it's right there. So you can see George Washington made the comment, treason is punishable by death. And then if you look down here, and I go do another thing, so ban comment N. To M, return P. All right, so I say I want to match a path. One end's got to be fan. The other end can be anything. So one end's got to be fan. If there's a relationship on fan, comment by, go to the nodes on the other end of that relationship. And then for each of those nodes, go follow any relationships and go find the nodes there. So George Washington made this comment. So that's N here. And then I say for any relationship out of that, follow that. So that's going to give me the player and the team. So that's what's happening. Is that clear? Over.
Okay. So you run the query through PyCharm, and that's gonna produce some output. But that's when you go into the Neo4j, just like you go into MySQL and type this query to kind of seeing that result matches. Is it why you?
And that's the easy. Well, yeah, that's the first thing I do. But so I mean, think about it. So that's just how I test it, that it works. You know, so we'll just go do another one. So this one is going to be Abraham Lincoln. It's going to be New York in the American League. Second, New Englander. Yankees rule. Player ID, team ID. So the team is going to be the New York Yankees. The fan is going to be Abraham Lincoln. We're still commenting about, actually, let's go do it the other way. So what we're going to say is, instead of doing that, we'll go back in here. And that comment ID is this. Now we're going to go make a sub comment. That's the sub comment ID. So that's the comment that I'm getting. Go back in here, suck it, New Englander, Yankees rule. So now we're going to go create a sub comment. The commenter is Abraham Lincoln. The comment that I'm commenting on is this one. Right, that's the message. So now I'll go create the sub comment. Run it again. Fan not found. What did I do wrong here? Is there no Abraham Lincoln? Seems like there would be. So why is it not finding the fans? Go GW1. Must have been playing around with my code. Yeah. I'm playing around with my code and I must have made a mistake. Must have done something. Let's go see the fans. So that fan is definitely there. So I did something in define fan. I don't know what I did. I was playing around with it. I must have broke something. So we'll go back and we'll just go and make another comment. So instead of doing this, we'll go back and make a comment. Abraham Lincoln, New Englander, player ID, and we will go try that. All right. Then we just go back in here and we run this again. All right, and so you can see that Abraham Lincoln made this comment. Yankees rule, suck it, New Englander. That comment's about Kevin Youkilis and the New York Yankees. And then George Washington made a comment about Kevin Youkilis and the Boston Red Sox. And that comment is treason is punishable by death. And I don't know how I managed to break getting fans in sub comments. Create sub comments. So what did I do here? Create sub comment. Self.get fan of uni. It should have worked. Okay, so fan isn't. So if fan is none, so fan is not none. So found the fan. Okay, so the error message is wrong. All right, so what did I do here? Clear. Oh, forgot the 7. All right, let's go try this again. And I'm pretty sure I don't return it. So I'm gonna go try this again. We'll go back here. All right, so you can see it now. All right, so George Washington made this comment, but he also responded to it. So that probably should have come from Abraham Lincoln, but you can see basically right? A subcomment's just another comment. It's just in a different position in the graph. So this is a comment. A comment is on a team and a player. So again, Lincoln made this comment. It's on a team and or a player. And then a response is just a comment. So you can see if you look at the comments, they're exactly the same. It's got a comment ID in the comment string, comment ID, comment string, comment ID, comment string. The only difference between a comment and a subcomment is what it's connected to. So that's all it is. Is that clear? Silence equals consent.
Yes, that's clear. And one more thing I want to confirm is when we access the Neo4j, so where do we get the secure bolt and auth and host and port? Port is, I guess, is kind of given. Just want to make sure.
Let me just give it a second. I was screwing around with this earlier. Twenty-one examples. Hate it when I can't find my stuff. For template. So we're gonna do file. What the hell was I doing? How was I doing this? I hate it when I can't remember where I put my code. That's not it. What the hell? Anyway, so make a new one. Now it's just gonna do it in samples. Yes. All right, and so now we're just gonna go back in here. Actually, there it is. Found it. So this is just an example of a call. So I'm just going to actually go and use fan graph. All right, so up here we're going to go import from social HW4 templates dot social graph import fan comment. Oh, crap, it's in the wrong place. So the call would look like this. Auth is the tuple. I just made another user ID, DB user, for the password, DB user localhost port, And secure equals false means don't use HTTPS. Just set it to false. The reason I have it in there is that I've got example code that actually calls a cloud deployed. So I call Neo4j in the cloud, so it's up in the Amazon data center. And that one wants HTTPS, so you can just basically say, are you using, sorry, TLS, are you using TLS or not? So that's what the call would look like. I can go back, copy this one. And basically go up here and just change this. It's going to be fan comment dot fangraph. Let's comment this out. So that's all the call looks like, is what's the user and the password, blah, 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 blah. And if you go look at my implementation of fan comment, and see, just I'm pretty sure that I gave you this code, which is basically says, go set those things up in the initializer, but I gave you that code. Right, so the call to create it, just the call to create it. Was that what you were asking? Justin?
Yes, yes, that's what I was asking. But how do you set up the DB user and DB user into the Neo4j?
You can do that. Dear Google, I hope this query finds you well. How do I create a new user via the Neo4j browser? Or you can just go down here where it says add a user, and you can add a user.
Okay, gotcha. So it's similar to MySQL database. Okay.
Yeah, so how did I know this was here? I look at everything to see what it does. So basically, whenever I see a browser like this, I just start pushing buttons to see what they do. Now, when I'm on a military base, that's usually not anywhere near as good an idea, but here it's fine. But you can see you can just add a user. So now another obvious question is like, right, that's pretty cool. What does that button do? Well, it just shows you that the answer in tabular form. And then basically it'll show you, like, this is the actual response that you get. So this and this are just kind of parsing and printing the response. That's the actual response. So what's the server? What was the address? What was the original query? Right? Some syntax, some statistics about the query, and then the actual data that came back. So all that graph browser does is just parses that to draw a graph and lay it out. That's basically the data that you get back from the call. So I just start pushing buttons.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll play around.
Yeah,
a bit
like
more
I said,
and I'll figure it out. Yeah.
I don't do this on the military base, but
Yeah.
or not more than once. So just all I do. Like these are all the last names. So anyway, if you look down here, this is where you add a user. All right.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for all your answers. That was very helpful.
All right. Any other questions? So you're just going to sit here and stare at me. All right. Well, that's what you're going to do. Fine. It's got to be adjusted. So if there are no more questions, we can wrap up.
That's pretty cool. Wait, is that what you use for the Halloween?
No. A long time ago, I was in a meeting at IBM, and we were trying to work out this really deep, complicated software engineering problem. And for some reason, somebody asked a bunch of people from marketing to come to the meeting. And they kept making these useless, irrelevant comments, at which point, after about an hour and a half of this, I just blew up and threw them out of the room. I can't remember exactly what I said, but it probably wasn't very pleasant. Because, there's like, I don't know, there's like 15 IBM fellows in the room, and then these, coming in and like doing this deep technical stuff, and the marketing guys go, "Oh, no, it's got to be purple." It's like after an hour and a half of this, I couldn't take it anymore. So there was an email exchange that night that said something like, "Well, if IBM had a Sith Lord, it would be Dawn. Who are we kidding? We do have a Sith Lord, and it is Dawn." And so my secretary bought me that helmet, and I used to wear it to meetings.
Oh, all the time. We're at the meeting all the time. That's
Well,
gonna be
not
very-
all the time, just when I wanted to.
Okay.
That's me in a meeting. That was actually the picture they took in the meeting the next day. So, and then there. That's my daughter. Runs in the family. All right, are there any other questions? All right, if there are no more questions, we can wrap up. I just feel kind of weird because there's like 15 people on. All righty, we're done then. So
All right.
far, I'll see y'all tomorrow.
See you
Thank you
tomorrow.
so much.
Good night.
See you Friday.